All right, the heck with the stadium thing. Big Ferris wheel, big yeah, a Ferris wheel, really. Ray Rickman is my guest, former state representative, community activist, marketer, all sorts of. How else do I describe you?
That's enough.
That's enough. In fact, I haven't even shown him yet, because that's what we do. But here's what he had an op-ed piece in the Providence Journal, and he wrote this. And Jess actually said, "Isn't that Cianci's idea?" Because yeah, Cianci, when he was running for office, put a Ferris wheel on his architectural design on Allens Avenue. So that's his Ferris wheel idea. Can you see it up in the middle of the right there by the ball field? But here's real Ferris wheel stuff that you can see. One's in Maryland on the right-hand side, I believe. And where's the other one? London. And they're economic drivers, and they're not just woo in the wind. And so it's always great to see you. You know,
good to be here.
We got a bunch of stuff I want to talk to you about. I know the last time you were here, we were trying to open pools. We did, and then a little trip up at the end of the summer. And then I want to get your thoughts on some other things happening in the world. You wrote an op-ed piece that said, think about this.
This has...
Did I say welcome, by the way?
Yes,
welcome.
Has almost nothing to do with the stadium. Nothing.
At all. Meaning it's not an alternative?
Great cities have 10, 12 great things.
Okay.
And when you go to New York, they have 150. We have water fire. It brings 1.2 million people a year. We need something else. And Ferris wheels aren't what they used to be. They're now very sophisticated places to see the world from up high.
Yeah.
They will create 200 to 300 jobs. They will create 3 to 4 new restaurants. They will create thousands of hotel nights. On the way to the Cape, your 7-year-old says, "Look, a Ferris wheel," and you get off, and instead of staying on the Cape for the night, you stay in Providence. So I have a mixed opinion about the stadium. I'm the only one I know that's not pro or anti.
Well, and we're kindred spirits, because I have mixed feelings about the stadium. So there, you're not the only guy.
No, I'm in favor of the stadium if we don't have to pay much.
There you go.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm not a Republican, but I'm tired of corporate welfare.
Yeah, no, I get it. Well, let's stay on this notion of Ferris wheel being an economic driver probably is a little lost on folks until you do a little research and look at these pictures. I mean, these things they're not little carriages. These are major,
mammoth.
These are enclosed, encased things,
Yes.
Rooms, literally.
Yes.
That
They're rooms.
They're rooms that move, although I have to tell you, I'm not so sure you'd get me on one of them because I'm not big on heights.
No, but they're not like they used to be. So you could go and not be like you used to be.
Right? Meaning freaking out?
Oh, yeah.
Meaning throwing up?
I'm just guessing.
Meaning
You don't
rocking,
do that.
going, oh!
I'm not big on these,
Yeah.
but I've been on the London Eye twice.
You have?
Yes. And you go up there and you go, wow, here's London. And they go slow enough, you see London.
Right.
And then 3 or 4, I generally stay 8, 9 days, and before you leave, you go back up, because in your little 7 minutes, you didn't see enough, and you feel good about it. But forget feeling good. Providence, downtown's half empty. We can lie all we want. We're in trouble. And the city's broke. No one's lying about that. We need new revenue sources, and we need jobs. We need them, and we need them now. And I don't buy a lot of what they're talking about, new tech, new this, new that. I think we're going to have to come up with something that's ours and unique.
Well, it's interesting because people might see this as some kind of, an anomaly of an economic brainstorm. But I think someone ought to take a bull by the horn and say, you know what, let's at least do some kind of study as to whether we can get this thing done. Because I do think we need another touristy shot in the arm. But I do believe that the core business growth that the city still needs is something that has to be at least a component of this 195 land down there. There's got to be some. I don't know that we have to recreate a semiconductor business alley. I don't know that we have to become Silicon Valley. I don't know that we have to be, you know, gosh knows 38 studios, you know, we were going to become the multi-online gaming world. But the meds and eds thing.
Now be careful about looking over there and deciding to be the same as over there. This is like film stuff. 38 states give away money to make a film in their state. So you're competing with Minnesota, Massachusetts, everybody in order to do this, and they now have the upper hand. You can barely make any money off having a film because they won't do what they did 10 years ago because it was cheaper than being in Hollywood. Now everyone will underbid you for the glamour. I'm not interested in glamour. I don't care about it. Providence needs some funding and it needs new jobs. So I'm not big on, listen, if we could get an IBM, and IBM's not been doing well, but if we can get an IBM campus and they bring 3,000 people,
Right.
we can get a General Motors factory
Right.
where they pay people $70,000 to $120,000 a year and it'd be 4,000 of those jobs. See, I'm not into glamour, which a lot of people are. So a factory is what you need, a manufacturing factory.
Even downtown.
On that land.
Yeah.
Yes. Listen, Providence has plenty of land. Go over to Route 10, go behind the mall. I can find you another 100 acres. I can't find them like that. And then you have that river land. That land's not as special as you put on. We've just been told it is. Now, it is an opportunity, but I know 10 places in Providence where 2 and 4 and 10-acre parcels. Have you ever, I have seen factories that are so glamorous, you know, they're glass, new factories. In Ohio, you go by a factory and you just slow your car down. So factories don't have to be awful. The utility in Cambridge, where you cross, do you know what I'm talking about? It's stunning.
Good thought.
Jobs.
And on the stadium, since we evoked it and you said you're middle ground, I've been with you. I was bullish on this idea until the cocky new ownership decided to send a Dear John letter to the owners in about 10 seconds,
Yes.
and then run and say, by the way, here's a $120 million proposal, and you're going to really like this. And we all went, what? And then they lost their equity, and then, God bless them, Jim Skeffington passed away. And now we have what was a transparent, unruly ask, now a non-transparent, we don't know ask, and the wheels are coming off because the feds are saying, hey, by the way, that's not the land designation, and Brown's going, we need more money than you're going to offer.
For a little piece of land.
Right, so that's where its status is. What's your
So
analysis?
they were trying to rob us and Brown's trying to rob them.
Right.
A lot of robbery going on without guns.
Yes.
A lot of this is going to depend on the speaker and
Who won't cough up the deal?
they ask for too much. Your analysis is 100% correct. They need to lower the ask. There's nothing wrong with the
I
stadium.
think they have lowered the ask. That's my point. And I think there's a lot of behind-the-scenes maneuvering going on. Look, you're an expert in the stuff in government and behind the scenes. I know there's a lot of ideas that percolate behind the scenes, and until they're ripe, they shouldn't be public. However, when something
can't
begins
negotiate.
transparently,
Yes.
and then you send it behind closed doors, you only cast a worst shadow and a public despondency that I think may not be recoverable.
I don't want to argue with you because you're right, but they made the mistake of asking for outrageous handout,
The Paw Sox did.
and the speaker is busy pulling it back. Now let's see how successful he is. Listen, a big stadium on the edge of downtown Providence would be wonderful if I don't have to pay 40, 30, 50, 80, $120 million for it.
The Fox Point neighborhood was here just the other night and said they don't want it. It should be a public park, like a Central Park.
So I was in the met with mayor's staff this morning and asked them to fix Memorial Park. The tiles are up from the bad winter. It has turned into a dust bowl. It is a disgrace that a park set aside to memorialize soldiers, World War I, II, Korea, is like that. Providence does not take care of its public parks. and they're underutilized. I eat lunch once a week in the Irish Memorial all by myself. I'm not joking. I eat there every Wednesday. And sometimes in June and July there are 3 people, and in August there's 0, and in September and October there's 0. I don't think we need any more parks. We need to figure out how to maintain the ones we have. And let me be careful, the Irish Memorial is well maintained by some private people. That's right next to where we're talking about. So we want a park, we've got a park. Why don't we use it? We need some jobs. I'd like some high-end jobs. I'd like some $40, $50, $60, $70,000 jobs. But to tell you the truth, I'd take some 400 little jobs that would generate other jobs for hotels and restaurants and the like.
Interesting. I always listen carefully to Ray's perspective. When we come back, he saved the pools, and they got a little dicey at the end of year 1 save. Stay with us. Ah, yes. Well, at the end of the year, they weren't doing that because the paint was coming off, and there's the mayor enjoying the scene. What in heaven's name, Ray, happened? Last year, Ray was here. I was banging away left and right, radio, television, just creaming on, Mayor Tavares for really botching the pools, and he had to acquiesce, and finally was going, congratulations on your work on that. Wow. And then the last couple of weeks, the pools closed prematurely because we get this, I think, baloney story that the rains caused cloudy this, but we learned it's not really that. And why? What?
Now, can you believe that someone would be audacious enough to blame God for something, which is what they did?
Act of God, weather?
Yes. And then they backed off. The state health department came, and this morning I was in the mayor's office, and they clearly owned up to the truth. The paint peeled off. Now, they've been painting these pools for 55 years. You'd think they could get it right. But I'm not agreeing. So then they said to me, and it was fabulous, you wouldn't want a child to drown. I'm shorthanding this. And there were 4 of them there, and they said this to me, and I said, no, I think what you do is you drain the pools, you paint it, you let it dry 2 to 3 days, and then you open them for an extra 10 days to make up for your error. And if they were running a private pool, they would all be fired. Fired. So this is unacceptable. Now, I went in today and I asked for the most modest 2 things you could imagine. Can we keep the pools open till 7 next year instead of 5? And can we keep them open a couple extra weeks? I was very unclear about what that meant. But 4 weeks is awful. Detroit keeps their pools open 16. Poor Detroit. So I just sit there. I've been in many of these meetings. They never answered me. They never said yes. They never said no. I can't accuse them of saying no, because they didn't. It was fabulous. I was very impressed with their inability to respond. So, but now something good happened, though. We have a pool, indoor pool at Pleasant Valley School, never used by the public. So they agreed, I believe, if I will find the money, that they will open it on Saturday. And I will find the money. So I'm waiting for them to give me an estimate of how many thousands of dollars it will cost. But it won't cost much. $8,000 or $9,000 is my guess.
This will add a year-round application?
No, Saturday. Yes, but we couldn't get to the, I said lots of weeks, and they said yes, but they wouldn't agree to 50 weeks or 48. But they did agree to lots, so I want to be careful about being critical. But let me come back to my point. You have a swimming pool not used in a city that has only 1 swimming pool. This is easy. Now, I'm going to go raise the money, but guess what? In a $680 million budget, you can't find $8,000. Now, I don't want to criticize them too much, because then they won't accept the money to open the pool. But this is bad management, lack of insight, and bad behavior in response to the poorest children in our city.
This is what I don't understand. We have two mayors successfully.
Yes.
Wrong word. We have two mayors back to back, both minorities, Latino, who couldn't get the politics of doing the right thing for the neighborhoods. Well,
No, that's
Mayor
that's the
Tavares
first
couldn't
mayor.
figure it out. But
Yes.
then when the cloud hit,
Yes.
meaning the paint was chipping,
Yes.
it was nothing but excuses. First of all, the first-year mayor can say, you know what, they missed it, we'll fix it, and I'm going to be the hero. Instead, they decide that they're going to become
No.
defensive and non-responsive and everything else. And I don't understand that they don't get the guerrilla politics of this.
Most of government operates this way. Seldom,
no matter who you are.
Yes, seldom tell the truth. The truth is not all that bad. You put the wrong paint on. Now you want to blame somebody, and then fix it.
Did.
Yes.
The public loves
Guess
when you
what?
apologize
The-
for stuff
the
and
mayor
fix it.
did not personally go out there and paint those pools.
No.
And so he doesn't have to say anything other than I have a mess on my hands and I'm going to fix it.
And people love
That's all.
that.
Yes.
How come you've been advising politicians, you were one, all your adult life.
Yes.
Why, and I've been banging on them all my career, why do we so infrequently find the public official who will say, hey, you know what, something happened, it's on my watch, we're going to fix it, we apologize, and then we're going to make good on it. And they don't recognize that the public loves to forgive and loves to see that kind of leadership. Gina Raimondo doesn't get it. Alorza doesn't get it. Does anybody get it anymore?
Carl Levin, former United States Senator from Michigan, is showing up at Brown in a day or two to talk. Now there's a man who understood. I think Pell did. I think Chafee did. You, Senior,
Yes.
John Chafee.
Okay.
And I,
Good save.
well, I'm not agreeing with you, but still, it's complicated. Because Lincoln Chafee's such an honest man, it gets complicated. But anyway, we're talking about when you take responsibility. And most of them are slow. And the new mayor, so even the police department is now telling...
You supported this new mayor,
No, I did not.
didn't you?
No, absolutely not.
Were you with Cianci?
Absolutely not.
Were you with Cianci?
No, absolutely not.
Were you with Alorza?
Absolutely not.
Who were you
You
with?
had choices. I set this out. You
I
can't.
couldn't
I gave
remember.
no one a donation. I thought, this is awful to say, I thought it was the weakest field I'd seen in a long time, and I thought Buddy wasn't going to win, and I set it out. I've set elections out before. You know, there are other things to do in life.
Okay.
Other than running around supporting
so I
people
can't
you
blame you
barely
for-
support.
Listen, while we're, we'll talk to Ray all day about what's going on in town. Last night we spent a lot of time on the firefighter controversy. This Mayor Alorza doesn't seem to understand that he's got himself in a pickle. Have you been following this case?
Oh, very closely.
I mean-
You're trying to get me. See, I want to try to begin to influence this mayor because I think he needs some influencers.
Big time. He needs a priest big time.
Yes. And I tell people all the time, if I ever held public office again, I would have 10 old wise men and 10 old wise women and then a whole bunch of 19-year-olds because kids are quite different than 60-year-olds.
Right.
And I would call them in once a month. What's going on? What do you think I should do? This mayor, more than any mayor that I've ever seen, needs to create a circle of old wise men and 21-year-olds.
He's got peers in other towns, you know, off the record, reporters all over Kingdom Come wondering what in the heck he's doing, and he's trying a platoon change with the firefighters. That he misunderstands the Supreme Court case. He thinks that he can shove this thing down their throat. He's going to get beat. He thinks he won when he went to arbitration where he's going to get killed, and it could cost the city $10, $15, $20 million.
But why would
the
you
end.
do it in the first place? You know, I was raised.
He
when
says
you
he
wanna
can save some money in overtime. I think he
How are you
misunderstands
going to save
the math.
it with a 3-year court fight?
Right?
Yes. I'm sorry.
No, really, I dig it, man.
But again, I don't want to be misunderstood. We have a problem with the firefighters. He did not approach it correctly. When someone has something you have to negotiate them not having it. It's a process.
Yes.
And he didn't know to do it.
All right. Let's see whether Ray's bullish on the city moving forward here. We got one more segment. Stay with us. You know, I think that Ray Rickman is a sage in a lot of ways, and I rely on him just for a perspective. Maybe not for all the answers, because he and I don't agree on everything, but for perspective. Are you bullish on the city? Are you bullish on the state? Give me your 3-minute take as to where we are right now.
The state, yes. See, I think differently of the governor than you do. I think she is probably a general. She wants to make this state better. Now, and she probably knows how. So I think you need to give her a little bit more time.
Listen, I was bullish on her. I have championed her cause as the treasurer, but let me tell you something. I think she's made some real bad calculations, and she too doesn't have enough correct voices in her head. Her toll plan was mishandled, mispresented. They haven't done the homework yet. She's made some political picks that I guess are necessary. And then she's made some that are going to hurt her, like this Lally Howard. You know, I hope an $87,000 hire isn't going to be the end of the image that she tries to portray as transparent and non-crony. She's made some mistakes. I'm bullish on her talent and her skill.
Now that's what I just said to you, but also everyone makes mistakes. The question is how many?
Can you own up to them and reverse them?
Yes.
I think when you take a step backward, it gives you a chance to take 3 steps forward. Anyway, what do you think about the city of Providence in its survivability?
Horrible, horrible shape. And we like to blame whoever's the mayor, but it's more complicated than that. Structurally, it's in bad shape. Revenue sources are limited. It needs to do new things, and the council and the mayor need to think differently about how we move forward. They really do.
Well, what do you want them to think about? Give me a minute.
So,
that's all I got.
There are places like Cambridge who are acting like they're MID. You know, they're finding new revenue sources. So, for instance, I proposed with the Ferris wheel that we get something. We get 2%, 1%. We get $1 from every ride. That would be $2 million a year. What if we do that 20 times in the next 5 years? And we can. I'll give you a quick example. Downtown has 10 parking lots that destroy, that make it awful. What if we up the taxes on them and force them to do something with all that land? You were asking about land lieu earlier. I know where there are 10 pieces of land next door to prime property. So why don't we get some tax money by having some people build some 10-story buildings? Seriously.
Well, why don't you write another op-ed about that so I can see what your clear thinking is, and then I'll invite you back.
Thank you.
It is a pleasure to have you, as always. Work on these guys, will you? Final thought when we come back. As random as the Ferris wheel idea may seem, I think Ray Rickman's got one there. We need to shake something up that we don't have to duplicate. We need to be able to generate some revenue, and we need to do something that's not mutually exclusive for some of the other projects that we're talking about. So good for Ray, and I always enjoy his company. Deep thinker. He needs to spend some more time with state leaders because they need deep thinkers. All righty, we'll see you on the radio on Monday. Back here on television, we're going to talk to some state senators who voted no on the truck toll plan. Yeah, they're Republicans. We'll see them for the first time. You have a great weekend. Thanks so much for watching My State of Mind. See you on the radio noon on WPRO on Monday, right? See ya. Bye.